Hey you guys, it's Diane Parham, and today I'm going to share with you a little experience that happened in our house this past week where I was accidentally exposed to one of the three dietary items that I really try to keep out of my diet because they just make me feel less than my best. So I'll share that experience with you today, some of the symptoms that I had and how I'm recovering from it, and hopefully the situation that I went through will be something that might help you if you are not feeling your absolute best. So if you're just joining me, my name is Diane Parham, and I help women find meal plans and fitness programs to help them feel and look their best so that they can live their most authentic life. So today, I'm going to share with you what happened to me last week. So my son and I were out grocery shopping, and he picked up a canister of just Planters mixed nuts, and we brought it into the house, and he created like our own little sort of trail mix kind of thing where we put in some of my Enjoy Life soy-free, dairy-free, gluten-free chocolate chips. We made a nice little trail mix, and we keep on our counter little dishes of like almonds and cashews and trail mix and stuff like that so that we can snack on them. So they're sort of our replacement to like a candy dish or a cookie jar or something like that, and we just have those things readily available to snack on. So the canister was sitting on the countertop pretty much for the whole week, and I would just go by and kind of grab a handful of these nuts with these chocolate chips in it, thinking that everything was fine because they were the soy-free chocolate chips. And I slowly started noticing that I wasn't feeling well. The first thing that I noticed throughout the week was on my runs, I was feeling very lethargic. My joints were very achy, so my hips were hurting, my knees were hurting, my lower back was really sore. I wasn't sleeping well. I was waking up very tired even after, a good amount of time sleep, 7 to 8 hours. And I couldn't really figure out what was going on. So I tried to rest a little bit, and as the week was progressing, I started feeling worse. I was starting to get sort of like a sad or depressed kind of feeling, and just couldn't function mentally. Memory loss, very foggy brain, lack of concentration. And so I was trying to retrace my steps because I've been very diligent about staying away from soy, dairy, and gluten because those are the things that make me feel that way. So I was kind of racking my brain, trying to figure out what it was that I slipped on. We hadn't been out to eat recently, so it wasn't anything there. So I had to kind of figure out what it was that was in our house that was making me feel so sick that I was consuming. And my daughter just, nonchalantly said, "Hey mom, did you know that those nuts that Logan bought had soybean oil in them?" So I'm guessing they were probably roasted, and they were roasted in some soybean oil. And that very innocent little snack of trail mix was making me have an allergic reaction to soy. So if you're a woman who is suffering any kind of hormonal imbalance or even fertility type issues, soy is one of those trigger foods that really does send your hormones sort of off the edge into an imbalance. And I didn't really know that until the last couple of years when I really started to get sick. I thought I had some sort of autoimmune disorder. There was a period of time where I thought there was something wrong with my thyroid. And it was all those things that start happening to women between the age of 40 and 50. For me, it started when I was around 48. That's when I started experimenting with food and started doing some elimination diets and really paying attention to the ingredients in food labels so that I could kind of narrow down what the foods were that were making those triggers in me. And the really obvious one for me was dairy, which was easy to get rid of. The second one was gluten. That was kind of easy to get rid of. But the third one, the soy, was the one that was really difficult for me because it is in everything. It's used as an additive in a lot of foods in the form of soy lecithin. And soy lecithin is used as sort of a binding agent to keep foods together. Most every restaurant uses soybean oil when they're cooking their food because it is one of the least expensive oils to use. So I had already eliminated all the really obvious soy items from my diet. So we don't consume soy milk. We cut edamame out of our diet. I wasn't even using any kind of soy sauce or anything like that. So the really obvious soy products we had gotten rid of, several years ago. So I couldn't figure out what it was that was making me so sick, because I wasn't consuming soy in its sort of advertised state. So as I started doing some research, I realized that soy was in almost everything that I was consuming throughout my day. And it started with the first meal of my day and it ended with my last meal of the day. So I had very tiny exposures to soy throughout my day without even realizing it. So I did a lot of research and I've done a lot of eliminating, and for the last several months I've been really good about not having any kind of exposures at all. And so even just a little bit of soybean oil in those mixed nuts that we brought into the house, having those little snacks throughout the days for several days was enough to trigger that allergic reaction that I have that causes that hormone imbalance, which goes into those symptoms that I was describing just a few minutes ago, where I had memory loss, a foggy brain, depression, joint pain, fatigue, restless nights, waking up in the morning just totally exhausted. And it's this thing that we as women sort of take as it's just part of what our stage of life is. And I can honestly tell you that when I'm diligent about not making those mistakes and letting those little trickles of soy kind of come into my life innocently, that I don't have any of those issues. I just turned 50, and for probably the last 6 months, I have felt amazing because I've been very, very careful about what it is that I'm eating and making sure that I'm reading all of those food labels. So the mixed nuts came into our house. I ate them. I started feeling sick again. This week, I have been trying to rest my body and detox myself from the soy that I let kind of sneak in, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better. But we went out to dinner tonight and we went to a new restaurant, and while we were at the restaurant, I read the ingredients label for it was a barbecue restaurant place, and I read the ingredients label for the barbecue sauce that I was about to put on my baked potato. So I ordered a baked potato with some turkey meat because I knew that that was going to be safe from soy, dairy, and from gluten. And I picked up the barbecue sauce and I was just put like a dab on my potato, and I read the ingredients label and it had soybean oil in it. So that would have been enough to kind of start that hormone trigger for me that I have been trying to get myself out of from the mixed nuts. So if you're having any kind of hormone imbalance issues, if you're having issues with, a foggy brain, lack of memory, inability to lose weight, bloating, all of those things are not normal for women. And if you're feeling frustrated about how to kind of get over that and get, on the other side of those feelings, that I can honestly tell you that when I am completely soy free, that I do not have any of those symptoms anymore. Soy snuck in a lot of different ways. I found that when I was doing my research and going through my lifestyle and the food that we had in our house, that I was being exposed to those trace soy elements from my cooking spray that I used on my egg whites in the morning, to the turkey bacon that we were cooking, my waffles that I was eating, the gum that I was chewing, the deodorant that I was using, the lotion I was putting on my skin. All of those things had soy in it in some form, whether it was soy lecithin or soybean oil. So I was slowly sort of poisoning myself throughout the day and never really gave my body an opportunity to be soy free. And it slowly started to make me sick. And yes, I know I had some thyroid issues, and I know I had major hormone imbalance issues, and I know I was probably also tinkering on the side of probably some autoimmune type diseases, because I had all the symptoms that were described from everyone who was suffering those things. So I always highly encourage women that I'm working with and my girlfriends that I know, that if you're feeling not your absolute best, then you deserve to give yourself some time to go through the food you have in your house, read some labels, do some research on what soy can do for your body and the harm that it could do for you. It's very innocently done. We have no idea that we're doing it to ourselves, but I can tell you that it's worth it to do the work. It's worth it to read the labels. I always ask restaurants now when I go out what kind of oil that they use in their food, because an innocent night out in a Mexican restaurant eating tortilla chips and salsa, if those tortilla chips are cooked in soybean oil, could make me sick for a couple of weeks, and it's just not worth it anymore. So soybean oil, soy lecithin, all of those things can be found, and they're hidden in products that we use every day that we would think are healthy for us, but that little bit of soy could be that thing that could be keeping us from being our best. So if you think you're suffering from any of those things that I described, please do yourself a favor, read your food labels. It's in gum, it's in cough syrup, it's in tea bags, it's in everything. And the sooner that we can get it out of our lives, the sooner that we as women can get back to feeling our absolute best and living the life that we want to live. So if you guys have any questions or would like some more information about some of the research that I've done on soy and soy lecithin and the effects that it has on you, or maybe even some of the things that I've done to sort of cleanse out my body and some of the elimination diets that I've done, please feel free to message me down below, or you can private message me here on YouTube, and I would love to meet with you and kind of explain to you the process that I went through and some of the things that I'm doing to keep myself soy free, which is also keeping me symptom free. Thanks so much for joining me tonight, you guys. I always appreciate your support, and have a good night, you guys.